Hi, my name's Graham Thompson, and I am banging on again about Peter Tatchell. And when you've heard the latest evidence that has come to light about his paedophile advocacy, you may well agree that it's something worth banging on about. Firstly, though, hardly anyone watches my videos, which shows how discerning the public is. But what I am saying really, really needs to be said, and hardly anyone is saying it. And as useless as I clearly am at doing videos, until people who can say what I'm saying far better than I can start doing so, I will be doing these videos until the cows come home. I said the latest evidence has come to light. It actually came to light at the end of July. A report run by the Telegraph, I don't know if it was the Daily or Sunday, a report run by the Telegraph on the 27th of July. They'd discovered a document in the British Public Library. It was a review by Peter Tatchell in June 1987 of a paedophile anthology to which he contributed, put together by the then ex-chairman of the Paedophile Information Exchange, Warren Middleton. It was published on January the 1st, 1986. And an Irish online publication called Grit did a follow-up piece that fleshed it out a bit more. The author of that piece was a journalist called Gary Kavanagh, and he very kindly sent me the source material from the British Library for that story. Now, in the Telegraph piece, it says that they came across this information and published it 1 week after the Elton John hagiography on Peter Tatchell came out, hating Peter Tatchell on Netflix. Now, from the Googling that I've done, there's a heck of a lot of media fanfare about what a human rights icon Mr. Tatchell is and how this Netflix documentary by Elton John shows that. But on this Telegraph piece, that is massive news. Massive news. The only other media organisation I can find that has covered it is Grit. Just one more news organisation. In my opinion, I do not think we have learnt the lessons from Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile covered his depravity with a mask of virtue with his charity work. Peter Tatchell hides his depravity with the mask of virtue of his human rights work. We have not learned any lesson from Jimmy Savile. Now, Mr. Tatchell, as ever, he compounded old lies and brought in ridiculous new lies. One lie that he compounded, he claimed, let me read this. This is from the Telegraph piece. Mr. Tatchell claims that he only learnt the true contents of the book and Middleton's connections when it was sent to him some years later and he felt tricked and betrayed. Now, twice in his article, in his review, Mr. Tatchell refers to Warren Middleton. He knew exactly who Warren Middleton was. Now, one could be all day on Mr. Tatchell's lies to cover up for his paedophile advocacy. I'm going to hone in on one thing. When Gary Kavanagh from Grips did a follow-up with Mr. Tatchell on this latest revelation from the Telegraph, the story that Mr. Tatchell gave him was that he said that the original piece was not written by him, it was drafted by a colleague. But both in the Telegraph and in Grips, what Mr. Tatchell said is that he edited it to do stylistic changes and to shorten it because it was far too long. But nevertheless, he still says that he was not aware that his review endorsed paedophilia. His just compounds the ridiculousness of his lies every time new evidence comes to light. What I'm going to do to end this video is everything I'm going to link to, as ever, in the description below. I'm going to read a key extract from Mr. Tatchell's contribution to Betrayal of Youth, the paedophile anthology by Warren Middleton. And then I'm going to play a clip of what Mr. Tatchell said to a Swiss schoolboy in 2015. And then I'm going to give you a short extract from his book review of Warren Middleton's paedophile anthology, Betrayal of Youth, and a short extract at the end of his review by letter to The Guardian of a paedophile anthology he did not contribute to in 1997, Dares to Speak. And you make up your own minds of where the truth lies.
Certainly, in the realm of sexual ages of consent, we need to ask whether the law has any legitimate role to play in criminalising consenting, victimless sexual activity. As for protecting the young, the main protection they need, as do adults, is legal protection against forced, involuntary sexual acts, which is afforded by the laws covering rape and sexual assault.
So what I've said about the age of consent has been grossly misrepresented. The letter to The Guardian was edited. It was primarily a defence against censorship. People were saying that a book that had been written about these issues should not be discussed. There should be no public debate about the issues. It was a book by academics, by scientists from around the world. I believe in academic freedom, and that was what the letter was defending. It did say at the end that I felt that it was impossible to condone paedophilia, so I made it quite clear that I was not condoning sex with children in any way. I've made that very clear since as well.
Society would remove a lot of sexual fear, anxiety and guilt if, instead of repressing children's sexuality, it acknowledged the fact that many children have sexual desires at an early age and accordingly educated children so they are able to make free, informed and responsible decisions about when and with whom they have sex.
Any decent human being would feel a healthy disgust for what Mr. Tatchell stands for. And what Mr. Tatchell stands for is paedophilia. I cannot say that Mr. Tatchell is a paedophile. As far as I know, he's never been convicted of a paedophile offence, and unless any new information comes out, he's never actually said, he's never admitted to being a paedophile. But when someone has a history of paedophile advocacy and lying through their back teeth about it, it's extremely unlikely that they are not a paedophile. What I will be doing is looking into the possibility of a court order against Mr. Tatchell to keep him away from children and out of schools, and to oblige him to turn down any offers to speak at education conferences, which he quite frequently gets. And if possible, the court order will require him to reply to any such invitation, stating that he cannot accept it because by order of a court, he is forbidden to doing so because of his history of paedophile advocacy. And also, if at all possible, it would oblige Mr. Tatchell to inform the police on who has invited him to speak at an education conference. Because I think we would agree anyone who would invite someone like Mr. Tatchell to do that needs to be looked into. No doubt my investigations into the possibility of a court order against Mr. Tatchell will come to absolutely nothing in very short order, but I intend finding out. And if it does get somewhere, you will find out too.